Hotels and Ambuja Neotia Group has announced a deal for 3 new hotels today. And to take us through the details, we have with us Ms. Suma Venkatesh, Executive Vice President for Real Estate and Development at IHCL, and Mr. Harshvardhan Neotia, the Chairman of Ambuja Neotia. My first question to you is to you, Mr. Neotia, to understand what sort of investment will be going from the Ambuja Neotia Group. As we understand from this, the deal that is the nature of the deal, that is not going to need any investment from IHCL side. So if you could take us through what entails in this deal for the Neotia Group, Ambuja Neotia Group, and also what sort of an investment is coming from you.
So we have been a business group interested in real estate and hospitality for some years now. And we are, of course, headquartered in Calcutta, and most of our activities are in Eastern India. So we have some hotels that we operate already, but we wanted to take a leap into the luxury segment, and we felt that we would need to partner with somebody who had the requisite experience. When you think about hospitality in India, Taj is one of the names that come up right on top. And therefore, a few years ago, we signed up 2 properties with the Taj, one in Darjeeling and one in Gangtok in Sikkim. And then when other opportunities opened up for us to put up some more properties, we had to reflag one of our hotels after the term of the erstwhile manager expired or ended. And 2 more new properties that we were building, one in Patna and one in Kolkata. So we decided to approach Taj, and they were very happy to join us. So we are now delighted to partner with them in all the 5 luxury properties that we are building. The investment in all of them would be approximately 800 crores. It will be funded by a mix of equity and debt, about 1:1. And the equity will be brought in by our family group companies and our real estate companies.
All right, Ms. Venkatesh, if you could, explain for the benefit of our viewers, the investment is coming in from Ambuja Neotia Group. What is in this for IHCL Hotels? If you can explain the nature of the deal as well for the viewers in terms of how the revenue sharing will be.
So, as you know, IHCL is a pioneer in opening up new destinations and getting into markets that are opening up newer markets. So in this partnership with the Neotia Group, we have signed these 5 hotels to strengthen our presence in the Eastern region. The arrangement is one of a management contract. That's an owner-operator relationship where we will be branding the properties under our Taj brand and managing it under our brand. Basically, it works. Any typical management contract arrangement is where the owner invests completely in building the hotel, in renovating, like in this case in Kolkata, it's an existing hotel that's being renovated, and the operator will operate for a management fee. So the structure is pretty much well understood both internationally and domestically, where the fee is linked to the revenues that the operator generates for the owner for that particular hotel, and part of the fees is linked to the operating profits, so that it's called an incentive fee where you're incentivized to run the property efficiently. There's also what you call as sales and marketing and group services fee for getting the hotel onto the operator's distribution network. So that's
All right, ma'am. So in that case, if you can, give us an idea as to how these 3 hotels, do you see them contributing? Of course, there is the expansion in the East, but in terms of revenue in the next few years, what sort of targets have been set by IHCL for these 3 new hotels?
So today, if you see IHCL's presence in the Eastern region consists of actually 10 hotels that we operate under different arrangements and under different brands. And these 10 hotels contribute about 1,000 rooms with the pipeline that we have, which includes 500 rooms that we have signed with the Ambuja Neotia Group. We expect to double our presence to almost 23 hotels with about 2,400 rooms. So the way we see it is East has been an important and unexplored destination pretty much for the country. But for us, we have had a a reasonable presence, and with these signings, the eastern region will be contributing significantly to the overall IHCL's enterprise business and enterprise revenues. So in terms of percentages, it's going to be a little difficult to say because we are also expanding in the rest of the country. So it's not like a static number, but we feel the eastern region will contribute at least 10 to 15% of our overall enterprise revenues.
Right. My next question is to both of you. You know, throughout COVID, we could not see people travel, go to hotels and enjoy the leisure activities that they usually do. But now we are seeing people really stepping out and wanting to spend time, take holidays, etc. Of course, there are caps on occupancy levels across the country, but if you all could help us understand in your portfolios, what sort of occupancy levels are we seeing at this point in time? Mr. Neotia, if you could start and tell us, you know, what sort of occupancy you are seeing at this point in time.
Well, hotel room occupancy in our leisure destination, which is Raichak, for instance, has been very good. We are at the pre-COVID levels, and even the ARRs are quite high. So, and because that is about 1.5 to 2 hours driving distance from Calcutta, I think that has seen a pickup. Obviously, we're discounting the months of April, May, June, and July because that was virtually a lockdown kind of period. So, other hotels in the city have obviously low occupancy as far as the rooms are concerned, but we see a fairly robust comeback in restaurants, in banqueting, not so robust, but still at least in number of days that the banquets are booked are almost equal. Of course, the volume is much lower because of capacity restrictions. So the revenues will be down. So generally, I mean, obviously this is not a great thing, but the pickup has been encouraging. And I hope that no sooner do we have a vaccine and no sooner the fear is abating quite quickly. I see people are much more, for instance, the traffic in the city is much more, much higher than even if it was 1.5, 2 months ago. So I think people are moving out, the fear is coming down, and all of this will ultimately help in bringing back the normalcy. Fundamentally, I believe that people need to meet people and they were constrained by this pandemic. So as soon as they can do that, they would like to do that.
So will you be able to share with us revenue-wise how soon you will be reaching pre-COVID levels or where you are at currently?
Well, that cannot be said till we know that COVID is behind us. So, and that we don't know because it's a combination of whether this will disappear on its own or the vaccine has to come, and therefore how fast the vaccine will come and how long it will take for it to be administered in the entire population. So I think we are talking about very, very unpredictable circumstances. But I'm sure about one thing, that no sooner do we have a solution to the COVID problem, there will be a very sharp recovery on the hospitality side.
All right, Ms. Venkatesh, if you could also give us an idea as to how the occupancy levels are across the country for IHCL, which markets are doing well. We understand that corporate bookings, of course, have not yet picked up. So how much of an increase in leisure bookings are you seeing? If you could give us a sort of a breakdown into that.
So, you know, as you know, IHCL has a pan-India presence and a significant presence in most city locations and also very key leisure destinations within the country. If we really look at different cities have responded differently. The first few months, that is almost April till September, has been a washout for most locations. However, we have seen that people have started moving out, and our leisure hotels have shown very good pickups in the occupancies. For example, destinations like Goa have been operating at almost 80%, and on some days more than what probably they achieved as occupancies a year ago. So destinations like Goa, you have Kurg in Karnataka or Rishikesh. These leisure destinations have definitely seen very good pickups. If you could say overall, I think in these destinations, we could say we are at least back to 50% of what the business was last year. Yes, the key cities, Bombay, Delhi, which are the big machines for the entire country in terms of the hospitality revenue that you generate at the enterprise level, they need to pick up. And we are seeing some green shoots, but there are definitely uncertain times, and we need to wait for a few more weeks before we have some good news on, what's happening to the vaccine, and then things will change.
Ma'am, as much as we have seen issues because of COVID-19, people cannot travel, international travel has stopped, but there are also new opportunities that are arising. You see staycations, Mr. Chhatwal mentioned drivecations. How much are those driving sales, and are there any new options for customers, etc., that IHCL is looking at, exploring, and has already put forth for customers to gain from the traction that's coming from these moves by customers?
So as you rightly said, people are actually very keen to move out and move out as a family. So we have seen a lot of staycations and what we call as driving holidays. People are driving 4 to 6 hours and want to stay in a secure place. Given the challenge and the need for safety, hotels such as ours are definitely preferred destinations. Seeing this demand, last year we had also launched another brand called Ama, which are homestays and trails. So Amas are definitely doing very well because you have the luxury of, IHCL service, IHCL hospitality within the comforts of a bungalow where, the entire family stays within those 3 or 4 bedroom bungalows. So we see a lot of people wanting to go to these villas, go to properties where you have cottages that are to some extent insulated and away from the rest of the crowd. So we are seeing substantial contribution from these businesses in the current times.
All right, my last question is to you, Mr. Neotia. If you can tell us what you are seeing in the F&B space, considering people are still scared to step out and be in places where masks have to be off. If you can give us an insight into what sort of footfalls are you seeing? Has there been an increase in comparison to pre-COVID levels as well?
So in Calcutta, we don't have a presence in restaurants in other parts of India, but we have sizable number of restaurants and clubs in Calcutta. From October onwards, we are about 75 to 80% of pre-COVID levels in terms of revenues and footfalls. 2 things we are witnessing. One is that people are very happy to come to places which have outdoor seating, and particularly now when the weather is good. So there is a preference for that. So restaurants which have al fresco spaces are doing better than those which are fully closed in. The second is that if you're a branded restaurant coming from a well-reputed group, then there is a little better response to that. Earlier, people were much more experimental with their food. They would go to very many places, many of them without that kind of, I would say, track record. But people are a little less experimental now, maybe a little more concerned about the hygiene standards, etc. So that's the second trend that we see. The third is that the parties, restaurants often hosted parties, and that is a little low on the lower side because less people are hosting parties, and even if they are much smaller. So, 10 persons, 12 persons, or people are just postponing celebrations for better times. So these are the trends that we see.
All right. Lastly, Ms. Venkatesh, just one more question I want to understand from you. If domestic travel is really filling in the space for international tourists that come in, if you can give us an idea in terms of revenues for that as well and revenue share for that as well, because there is no international tourism happening at this point. And also, what sort of revenue share change have you seen in leisure versus business bookings that are coming in now?
See, over the last many years, the domestic versus international, there has been a tilt. Maybe 5 years ago, you had a higher international percentage as compared to domestic. But in the last few years, it is primarily domestic tourism within the country. And the current COVID situation has, as you rightly said, has made international traffic to almost zilch. So today it is only domestic tourism. And within that, your question was, what is the business and leisure? Today, it's again predominantly leisure, because you see business travel has reduced because a lot of people are working from home and using various digital medium to interact and to do their business. And conferences and meetings have also reduced. So today, I would say it is almost 70 or 80% leisure in terms of what the hotels are experiencing. However, we all have to remember that we cannot always just do business on various digital media. People need to meet. In certain businesses, you need to be there on the field, need to meet face to face. So it will come back, but that's going to take some time. And as I said a little while ago, the next 4 to 6 weeks will tell us where this whole COVID situation is heading and what's happening, and probably we will hear some good news from on that front.
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Venkatesh and Mr. Neotia, for talking to us and giving us those insights. Thanks a lot for taking the time out.